port management. Back to you.
Asavri, thank you for that. All right, moving on. U.S. President Donald Trump has signed a sweeping executive order directing the United States to withdraw from 66 international organizations. The administration labels these bodies redundant and contrary to American interests. Among those being exited is the India-led International Solar Alliance. The U.S. officially joined the ISA as its 101st member in 2021. Since then, Washington has contributed over $2 million in funding and technical support for global solar grids. With the U.S. now pulling its financial and diplomatic weight out of the treaty, what does this mean for the future of India's global green energy leadership and multilateral ISM at large? We will discuss this with our guest. Joining us on the platform is Ambassador Bhaswati Mukherjee, former diplomat, Major General Dr. Rajan Kochar, senior defense expert, also with us on the program. Dr. Sharath Kohli, senior economist, joins us on the show to give his insights. And last but not the least, Mr. Ravindra Sachdev, international affairs expert, also with us on the platform. Ambassador Mukherjee, I'll begin with you. You've been with the UN, you've served it, you understand the nooks and the crannies of what goes on. A couple of $1 million in this alliance is not too much of money, but that is not the point here. The point is that US is refusing to cooperate regardless of its relationship with a number of countries, especially the relationship it has had with India.
Actually, Vineet, I would look at this withdrawal from the International Solar Alliance as his complete contempt and denial of climate change. Because International Solar Alliance was put together by India with the strong support of the French head of state, and we have a lot of funding. The International Solar Alliance is not going to collapse if Trump, who's there for another 3 years, doesn't fund us. It's quite possible that his successor may believe in climate change and may come back to the International Solar Alliance. It's a non-controversial alliance. It is intended to provide green energy. It is intended to encourage both developed and developing countries to switch to alternative forms of energy. And in fact, the technology is very popular in the US, and the technology has now become very popular in developing countries and the developed West, including in India, where even in Delhi, I can myself see the effects of people switching over to solar energy. So while we regret that he has this unfortunate and regressive approach to climate change, which means that if he takes Greenland, he will start immediately drilling in the fragile Arctic for whatever he wants, oil or rare metals, minerals, etc. It is not an anti-Indian act per se, though he knows very well that it was an initiative of our Prime Minister. It demonstrates his total contempt for multilateralism, for multilateral efforts to combat climate change, and it also demonstrates that he doesn't care that solar energy is the most important form of alternative energy. It's much cheaper than fossil fuels, and it actually provides the world a way out to escape from the negative effects of climate change, which are also affecting the developed West, including the United States of America, which now has mosquitoes, it has malaria. Global warming is bringing to them those very diseases which they used to look down upon us and say that this
Rats.
is only confined to India, etc.
They have rats, ma'am. They are rats in New York. I've just come back.
Actually, they've had rats for a long time in New York. But mosquitoes...
First time I saw one.
The really nasty ones which give dengue and malaria, they are now rampant all over United States and all over Europe. And very high temperatures in summer. They used to laugh at us that we use air conditioning. Everybody now in United States uses air conditioning. So we have, I would take it as a contemptuous move, denigrating efforts to combat climate change, which actually bodes very badly for the future of that poor little piece of territory in the Arctic called Greenland, which actually was erroneously named because it's not green at all, it's always white. It should have been called Iceland, but it's called Greenland.
And on the contrary, Iceland is called Greenland. It's full of greenery. Dr. Kohli, coming to you now, sir. What do you think is happening over here? Is there a antagonistic streak against India at this point in time on behalf of the Americans? Because there's nothing positive coming out of whatever Trump is saying when it comes to India. Of course, not to forget that derogatory statement which was made pertaining to the Apaches.
Good evening, Vineet, to you, my fellow panelists and NewsX viewers. Tomorrow, I've decided to start a Havan, and the name of the Havan is May Sense Prevail on President Trump. That's the name of the Havan. I've already called 5 or 6 pundits who are going to probably start this Havan until it's very wishful thinking.
Well, I think what he needs. I think what he needs is an exorcism.
Well, whatever works. Well, very wishful thinking on part of Ambassador Mukherjee to say that he's going to survive for 3 years. Well, his presidentship, the way he's going, I heard a statement coming last evening that if I lose the midterm elections, they'll impeach me. So, which means that the Senate is going to probably throw him out. That's what he feels. So he's planning to amend the Constitution. He's planning to take America out of democracy. Well, all the weird ideas, all the weird thoughts, I think they seem to be coming in hordes and hordes from I'm not sure whether to call it America. I don't know whether to call it White House, or should I just call it President Trump? I really don't know. We should name the country after the kind of policies which are being named. But the fact of the matter is that I'm sorry, I've lost the video. Oh, it's back now. So I'm not sure as to what is he up to, whether it's Greenland, Cuba, Mexico, Colombia. Well, the rant about 500% tariffs on India, China, Brazil, because of the Russian oil imports when an invasion has been carried out in Venezuela. So much for the Nobel Peace Prize. I wonder if a Nobel Peace Prize contender can eye Greenland being captured, landing troops on Venezuela. I think he's taking his vengeance out that you didn't give me the Nobel Peace Prize. So now I'm going to be the opposite of that. So I think that is the kind of approach being taken. Pulling out from these 66 organizations, 31 of them are UN based, and rest of the 35 are non-UN based. I think America is trying to isolate itself completely. Not even bilateralism, forget about multilateralism. It's not even bilateralism. America, he probably feels that this country is on some other planet. He can bully. He can probably do whatever he wants. The whole world has to bend before him. The whole world must come and touch his feet. And whatever he says is the word of God. Whatever he says should be honored, should be obeyed without any conditions. And with regard to India, sometimes he says Prime Minister Modi is happy. Sometimes he says Prime Minister Modi is less happy. Sometimes he says Prime Minister Modi is very happy. And sometimes he says he's very happy, he's moderately happy, he's unhappy. I don't know who's happy, who's unhappy, and who's moderately happy. By what? It all sounds so confusing to me. I have never seen Ambassador Mukherjee's far more experience in diplomacy. She spent all her life, and Rabinder has written a book on President Trump. I'm not sure if he's feeling proud of writing this book or he's regretting writing this book. I really don't know. But all I know is I've never seen diplomacy of this kind all my life. And I'm very, very sure, Vineet, I will not see this kind of diplomacy in rest of whatever small life that remains out of me. I'm never going to see something like that. This is absolutely extraordinary. This is absolutely out of the world. All the decisions, whether it's economic or geopolitics, we've never seen this happening ever before. Vineet.
Mr. Sajdev, what do you think is what can we in fact take out of what Dr. Kohli also said, that the events that are unfolding under the Trump administration are surreal, they are extraordinary. In Minneapolis, ICE shot one of its own citizens, an innocuous woman who was driving away and was shot and killed at the same spot. Donald Trump coming out on social media and on international news as well. And I'm not paraphrasing him. He said that he hates Somalians. They're dirty people. He does not want any of them to come inside of Somalia. Is this kind of language is something that we have to get used to? And if this is the level of diplomacy and politics and governance that we are seeing in the United States, I think it's the world that should isolate itself from the United States, not vice versa.
Thank you, Vinith. Very interesting questions, and thank you, Dr. Sharath Kohli, for referencing the book. I'm feeling actually pretty okay and actually a little also happy and proud of having written the book because you see, in the process, even I learned something. And in my book, I've not gone into the politics, but I'll share with you what I think is in the book and what can help us make some sense to decode. One, Trump's actions, which are happening at present, ever since he took office, can be fairly understood if one reads the Project 2025 document, which is 920 pages, prepared by the Heritage Foundation, which includes draft memos, exact language of executive orders and all, like a manual, which was prepared for any president, Republican, MAGA kind, if he were to take office in 2025. Trump came. Now, that document also explains the speed with which Trump has been shooting off his orders and taking decisions, right? Howsoever surreal they may be, howsoever maybe one end or the other or unimaginable, on across all sectors, be it education within the US and all, be it abortion, be it gun rights, be it housing, whichever, immigration, of course, and defense and all. So those are out there in that sense. Of course, what he wants to make America, which we very well understand, is he wants to make it a white Christian nation, right? He's very clear about it. J.D. Vance says that regarding immigration, Vance was saying it will be Christian politics which will guide immigration into America. Okay, when it was a discussion on H-1 visa even. So that's where they are. Now, how Trump behaves, actually here, again, I'll pull in something from my book. The book, other Godfather in the movie Godfather. In America, there's a decent amount of fascination for the outlaw hero. Something like the Bonnie and Clyde, who goes to the government, hammers the government, all like a Robin Hood culture character, right? They have plenty of such, real or imagined, legends or myths. So he positioned that as his politics also, that he's an outsider going in, bashing the government, which is the bad, evil government. And in the process, if he's flouting some laws, so be it. The more he becomes a hero. So he's a godfather type. And if you look at the way he works, the way he conducts his business, he wants complete trust amongst the people around him. He trusts only his family at the first layer. In his business, it's only his daughter and sons around him. Similarly, in politics, he got them same here itself. So he has many of those characteristics which could define a godfather. In fact, during the campaign, there were T-shirts which were reading Don Father. And therefore, in my book, I've devoted one chapter to this, that it is the rise of the Don Father culture in America. So that's his, approach out there. Now, with regards to, India, yes, I absolutely agree. It's nothing to do with India. I think a lot of his, policies that he's making, it's coming from basically the way he looks at the world, or the MAGA folks look at the world and the way they want to shape it. But yes, some policies of his have been, cherry picking India, particularly with regards to the tariffs for buying the Russian oil. I mean, China buys more than us, we buy less. Therein, I think the reason he's done that, he thinks that India is a lightweight. Okay, America is a 30 trillion odd dollar economy. China is maybe around a 20 million trillion. India is maybe 4.5 or something like that, right? So he thinks that India is a lightweight, and he could make it a poster boy of this hard policy towards, buying oil from Russia. China has some levers to arm twist America, which it did with regards to rare earths and all. Unfortunately, we do not have, in that sense, any such levers to arm twist America. So, I mean, in a nutshell, we could go on a lot more, but probably I'll stop there.
Well, Mr. Sachdev, I have a follow-up question for you. A lot of these things are, actually coming to fruition. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of people feel that Donald Trump is taking such big decisions to distract himself, his country, and the world from the truth about the Epstein files.
Oh, yes, that is there. And it's also there that he's trying to do all of this in order to salvage the November midterm elections for the US Congress, because wherein Republicans could take a whacking because inflation and prices going up. Now, therein, yes, partly it's a distraction, but partly he's playing that game. With the Venezuela oil, his focus and aim is to try and get, right now Venezuela cannot produce much, but let's say the 1 million barrels a day which is already producing, bring it from the illegal market to the legal market so that the prices soften. He wants a price range of about $50 a barrel for oil. The reason he wants and is working towards that, because of the tariffs, there is inflation in America, prices are going up. But his strategy is that oil should remain low so that your logistics transportation costs will remain low so that the price rise is softened.
All right, fair enough. Well, we have more to talk about. Well, following the military capture of Nicolas Maduro, the Trump administration is now moving to take direct control of Venezuela's energy resources. US President Donald Trump announced that interim authorities in Caracas will turn over up to 50 million barrels of crude oil to the United States. And in a statement, the US President confirmed the oil will be sold at market price, but the resulting billions in revenue will be personally controlled by him as president. The White House said that these funds will be held in US accounts to rebuild Venezuela and benefit American interests, stipulating that the money must only be spent on American-made products. As the US prepares to manage Venezuelan oil sales indefinitely, what does this unprecedented level of presidential control truly mean? What could be the long-term impact is what we'll try and figure out. Major General Dr. Rajan Kochar, Senior Defense Expert with us on the program. General Kochar, is it so easy? Is it a cakewalk to walk into a country, seize control of their resources, seize control of their population, run the country, arrest their president on whatever charges, and profit from the natural resources of that country? There are international laws against this kind of a behavior. And the most important question for you, sir, are there going to be military implications or repercussions as a result of this by the allies who support Venezuela at this point in time?
Thank you, Vineet. I think it's a very broad array of questions, and the most important is I'll just take on the allies first and then come to the other aspects of this Venezuelan oil. The allies, as far as Venezuela was concerned, are China and Russia. And in my considered opinion, I don't think that none of them will interfere, because in this Ukraine war also we have seen the non-interference of any kind of allies there also. So I feel that China's interest is basically, if you read the Chinese three-war doctrine, they don't believe in a direct conflict with any country. They want to win the wars by intimidation, psychological warfare, information warfare, and legal warfare. A second important aspect is Russians are already embroiled in Ukraine, and Russia is expecting some kind of a settlement from Trump to come to a ceasefire in Ukraine. So again, less possibility of the Russians also getting involved. And when we talk about international laws, I feel that United States under President Trump is going the Chinese way, because if you look at the South China Sea, no international law has been followed by China there. But the UNCLOS there, the United Nations Convention of Laws of Seas, and the Spratly Islands and the other islands which he has taken, and the way he is trying to intimidate the Philippines and Taiwan in that region, getting into the exclusive economic zones of this area. Where is the international law today? Who's going to enforce it? The United Nations is one body which can enforce it, and that body is the Security Council. And when you have a veto power there, no kind of resolution can pass the Security Council. What was happening in Gaza? What kind of international law was being followed? The humanitarian law was being followed. 70,000 people have been butchered there. So we are in an era where might is right, and that is why this military action against Venezuela, it would have been war gained by Trump. A couple of months you practice and rehearsal, and the international reaction also have been muted. Look at the way, how many countries have come out strongly against this action. So when we see this kind of a world opinion, also we saw this world opinion in Gaza war also, when all these things were happening, Muslim countries, Arab countries were quiet. So when we look at this new international world order, I think it's a cause of concern for all of us, because tomorrow I'm given to understand that some signals are coming from Taiwan, that in case China attacks them, US is not going to support them. Because if he is talking about America first, and he is talking about MAGA, and I would like to relate your question to the first phase of discussion of this international solar alliance, because Trump wants to maintain hegemony. He wants to control the world prices of fossil fuels, and he's not going to leave these fossil fuels at all, because if he uh, uh, takes all this green energy, where is the power for him to control the world? Because today 303 billion barrels of reserves of Venezuelan oil he has taken over. Okay, it may be heavy crude. In times to come, I think he'll be able to convert this into, and he has the refineries, he has the infrastructure available in this country. He can move this oil from Venezuela into the United States and have it refined. So you see, all these implications are there, and therefore he has gone into Venezuela, and therefore he has exited out of this 66 organizations we are seeing, and most of them are UN organizations, because in his eyes, UN means nothing, and he actually practically controls the UN. Look at the funding which America gives to the UN. So he's slowly trying to exit himself from all these liabilities, which he thinks are actually liabilities, and he does not care for the world opinion at all. Sharad has made some
Right.
very
You're
interesting
absolutely
points
right, sir.
about
And before we end,
President
I
Trump.
just want to, get in Ambassador Baswati Mukherjee on another important aspect of this entire fiasco. Ma'am, what kind of precedents does this set for a country like China that is itching to march on Taiwan? If Donald Trump can do it to, a country that, is not as dear as Taiwan is to China, what kind of an encouragement is this for these regimes?
It's a clear signal that the Chinese can do what they like in the South China Sea. It's a clear signal that the Quad is reduced to nothingness. The rule-based order in the Indo-Pacific, he is not bothered. Taiwan, they'll take their own time. As far as Venezuela is concerned, if Trump thinks that he's got the Chinese out of Venezuela, I have a different take. He hasn't got them out of Venezuela. They will go back after a little while. And there is one very important impediment to what he wants to do in Venezuela, which is the people of Venezuela. Let's not forget that the Americans got embroiled in Vietnam, very small little country. Let's not forget that the Brits colonized us for 180 years. We threw them out. In Venezuela today, gangs are roaming around looking for killing Americans. Okay? So to get all this out, it's not surreal. He's not going to be able to fly them out. He has to use manpower to get them from Venezuela into the tankers, into the United States, etc. It's not that simple. Or exploiting Venezuela's gold and copper, etc. And if he loses the midterms, he's a sitting duck. There's no doubt about it. So I actually feel that American oil companies have already indicated complete lack of enthusiasm for going into Venezuela. They are not going to do it. The billions of dollars required to rebuild the infrastructure will not be paid by selling this very heavy Venezuelan oil, then refined in American refineries. Incidentally, we also have the technology to refine Venezuelan oil. That is not going to work. Venezuela is not going to work the way he thinks it's going to work. Not at all. Annexing Greenland is not going to be so simple. The Danes are going to fight it out. So it's not going to be so hunky-dory for him. Moreover, as far as the Chinese are concerned, they will lurk around in the background, and when his attention will get diverted with the next thing he wants to do, they will come back. For instance, in Colombia now, Vineet, he has invited the president of Colombia to come and meet him in the White House. If I was advisor to the president of Colombia, I'd say, don't go to the White House. Very dangerous. You could be arrested the moment you step on American soil. That would be a different kind of a coup. You call the guy over, then you put him in New York jail, and you say that he's not a head of state and he's a drug trafficker. I don't think the Colombian president will accept the invitation. But he's changed his tone on Colombia. He's changed his tone on Mexico. And now he's openly threatening Greenland, but the Danes have used very strong language to say they're going to defend Greenland. So I think, actually, Vineet, whatever he says is bravado. He's not going to get away with all this. And as far as walking out of so many UN institutions are concerned, and the slow destruction of NATO by Greenland, he is actually isolating the United States.
Fair enough, ma'am. Appreciate your thoughts on the same. We have run out of time. Appreciate everybody who joined in. We take a short break now. Be right back.